The winning blueprint presents.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Welcome. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. There is a lot to get to on this Wednesday afternoon. Lot of happenings in the National Football League today. And we start with the big news of the day. He spurned the Browns, but he just couldn't say no to the Philadelphia Eagles. Chip Kelly is your new head coach in Philadelphia. It looked like the Eagles had no idea what they wanted to do for a long time. I had said it on my program several times. I don't know what direction the Eagles are heading in. They had several guys. Gus Bradley had been in Philadelphia at least twice. And so they were just all over the place. I said they needed someone with head coaching experience in the NFL. They just bucked that whole trend. I thought that they were going to get someone with a little bit of pedigree. No, they went to the college ranks and they sought the coaching of Chip Kelly. And I don't know if what he does will translate to the National Football League. I could really see him being one of these coaches that comes in and is overwhelmed with the NFL and its game and the speed and the athletes. And I could see him going and scurrying back to college in 2 or 3 seasons. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong because I never wish ill will on anyone. So all I know is this is a big hire. And I have to say Chip Kelly played this magnificently. He really used everyone against each other to push his power and his bargaining chips way up. He started with the Browns. He used them to up the ante at Oregon, and then he used Oregon to up the ante at Philadelphia, and then he finally got what he was looking for. He got power. He got control. From what I'm hearing, he's got a lot of control and say-so in that organization. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a very lucrative contract, and so I'm pretty sure Chip Kelly used these teams and used Oregon against each other, and in the end, he used it for his benefit, and now he's the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Well played, Kelly. Well played. The Eagles got their man. At the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. The Eagles got their man. Now, it's probably going to cost them a pretty penny. It's probably going to cost them more control than they probably wanted to fork over. But at the end of the day, the Eagles got who they were looking for. So that's huge news. Not to be outdone, the Bears found their head coach today. And Jimmy Johnson was right after all. It took us a while to get to this point, but Jimmy Johnson on Friday, Thursday, sometime last week told us, hey, Marc Trestman is the guy in Chicago. Now, he kind of jumped the gun then, but I said, Jimmy isn't just talking out of the side of his neck. He knows something. Someone told him something. Now, of course, he jumped the gun on it, but Jimmy saying that let me know that Marc Trestman was definitely in heavy consideration in Chicago. And finally, the Bears pulled the trigger on Marc Trestman. He's their new head coach. And he's got experience in the league. I think a lot of people think of him and they think of the Canadian Football League and they think of the Montreal Alouettes. But this guy has some pedigree in the National Football League. He was the coach of the Raiders when Rich Gannon was the MVP of the league when they went to the Super Bowl and lost to Tampa Bay. He was the coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers in 95-96 when Steve Young was absolutely lights out, set the record for passer rating in a season, and he was just dynamic. He was the coordinator then. And so he has pedigree in the National Football League. He's been at several different locations. And so this is a very good hire for the Bears because they need help offensively. Their offense was the reason this team did not go to the postseason this year. And so I think that Marc Trestman is the guy that can turn this Bears offense around. He's done it with numerous quarterbacks over his years in the National Football League. He's won 2 Canadian championships. The guy can coach, and he can coach offense, which is the most important factor when thinking about him as the Bears' new head coach because they need help offensively. Jay Cutler, Brandon Marshall, Matt Forte are too talented to be one of the worst offenses in the National Football League. And that's what they were in the second half of the season. They couldn't score points offensively. And again, this offensive line has a lot to do with that. But again, I don't care. Get it done. They didn't get it done. They did not get it done in Chicago. And it falls squarely on the shoulders of that offense. And Marc Trestman, his first priority coming into this franchise is going to be turning this offense around and really turning Jay Cutler into one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. We see the potential. We know it's there. It's dormant right now. It's like a volcano waiting to erupt. Jay Cutler has immense talent. He has the arm strength. He has the mobility. I don't think people give him enough credit for his mobility. He can move. He's not a statue back there. He can move. He can run. And he can get out of trouble. And he can roll out. We know he can throw on a run. He has all the tools necessary to be a top 10, top 7, even a top 5 quarterback in this league. Someone needs to bring that out of him. Maybe Marc Trestman is that guy. And so we will see what happens with this hiring moving forward. But I think it's a great hire. It came out of left field. Who saw this coming? Again, we know the Bears were talking to him, but no one else had Trestman on their radar. It's not like the Bears were having to hurry because the Chargers wanted him, the Eagles wanted to talk to him, the Cardinals wanted. No one else was talking to Trestman. And so the Bears said, hey, this might be our guy. And they went out of the way to make it happen. And so the Bears are really trying to get this offense on track. Well, that's what that tells me. They're looking for an offensive mind that can get this offense on track. They're looking for someone with a track record of having successful quarterbacks. And that's what Trestman has had over his career. Whether it be Rich Gannon or Steve Young or some of the other quarterbacks that he's worked with over his career, he's had success. And that's what they're looking for him to have with Jay Cutler. So I think this is a great move for the Bears. They also got their offensive coordinator out of the way while they were at it. Aaron Kromer is the new offensive coordinator in Chicago. If that name sounds familiar, he was the interim head coach for the Saints this season when they had Sean Payton suspended for the whole year, as we all know. But remember, the first 6 games of the season, Joe Vitt was suspended as well. And so they needed someone to really hold down the fort until Joe Vitt came back. That was Aaron Kromer. And now he's your offensive coordinator in Chicago. He'll probably also be keeping a watchful eye over their offensive line as well because that's a big issue in Chicago. The protection for Jay Cutler and the protection for this offense because no protection of Cutler equals no offense equals Bears aren't a very good football team. It's really simple. Starts with the offensive line, works its way out. And so he's going to be keeping a watchful eye over that offensive line as well and really trying to get them on track to help this offense as a whole get on track. Okay, so I want to touch on a few things quickly and then I'll get out of here. A lot of information on this Wednesday. Coaches being hired. And so teams are starting to really figure out what directions they want to go in. Now, I talked about it on yesterday's program. There were 4 teams. Now there's 3. So that musical chairs game, the chairs are dwindling, and coaches need to hurry up and find a seat before it's too late. The football gods. Remember I talked about the football gods on Friday when I was talking about the program, and I said, hey, in this thing called sports, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, it doesn't matter what the sport is. The sports god, and in this case, the football gods, and I think the football gods are the most powerful of any gods of any sport. Because the football gods, they reign supreme over everything. They dip their hands in some of everything. They even cross over sports sometimes. The football gods are the most powerful gods that they are in the realm of sports. And I said that they never give us what we want. I glossed over it. I didn't elaborate. I just said they never give us what we want. And I moved on because it's a touchy subject for me. I'm still mad about the 1998 Super Bowl that was supposed to be. And if you don't know what I'm referencing, I'm talking about the 15-1 Minnesota Vikings were supposed to take on the 14-2 Denver Broncos. I'm still upset about that. I'm still upset that I didn't get my dream matchup. That was supposed to be one of the greatest offense these eyes have ever seen in the Minnesota Vikings versus the back-to-back or looking to defend their Super Bowl championship from the year before, looking to be back-to-back Super Bowl champion Denver Broncos, led by John Elway, coached by Mike Shanahan. And I was deprived of it because of the stinking dirty bird Atlanta Falcons. And the football gods had everything to do with that. And so you never get what you want in the National Football League because the football gods legislated so that you don't get what you want. Remember when Brett Favre came back and we were supposed to get our Manning Favre or our Brady Favre Super Bowl, and it was supposed to be a media spectacle, and it was supposed to be Favre coming back and leading the Vikings to the Super Bowl? No. Instead, we had to take the Saints, and we got the Saints and the Colts, and it to me, it wasn't that good of a Super Bowl. I just really couldn't get into that Super Bowl. And so you really never get what you want. I thought we were getting Brady versus Manning in the AFC Championship game. That's what I wanted. And honestly, I'm not a big Brady guy. I'm not a big, huge Peyton Manning guy where I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see these two square up. But that was going to be an epic battle. That was going to be a showdown. Maybe the last of their careers. Who knows? Maybe this one could have been for all the marbles because they've played so many times in the postseason, but this was going to be the one that I felt like could define one of their careers. And really, there's really nothing more that these two quarterbacks can do that they haven't already done. But against each other, head-to-head, mano-a-mano, this was the one I thought was going to be for a lot of bragging rights. And we were robbed of it. We were deprived of it by the football gods. They just wouldn't have any of it. And so I just felt like I needed to share that with you. So let's talk about something else. I don't want to oversaturate Peyton Manning as a topic on this particular episode because I'm going to come back to him a little bit later. And I don't want you to go, oh, Peyton Manning again? What is this guy doing? So let's switch gears for a second. Let's talk about Colin Kaepernick. I asked him to show me. Make me a believer. I'm one of these guys. I'm from Missouri. Not really, but I'm from Missouri. Not literally, figuratively. I'm from Missouri. Show me. It's the show me state. I need you to show me. And I asked him to make me a believer. That's why I picked the Packers, because I wasn't sold on Colin Kaepernick. I know what Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers can do in the postseason. So I asked him to make me a believer, and he did just that. Oh, I believe in Colin Kaepernick now. I believe. Because he flat out got it done. I don't think I really gave him enough credit on Monday. I don't know if I understated it. Maybe I overstated it, and I just felt like I didn't give him enough credit, and I really did. But I think it needs to be mentioned. It bears mentioning that he was spectacular on Saturday night. I don't know if I've ever seen a playoff performance quite like that one before. Okay, I know I haven't seen a playoff performance quite like that one before. Because for all of the guys in the league that can throw the football, he can throw it with the best of them. But they don't run like that. They don't make plays with their legs like he did in this game. And at some point, didn't you think the Packers would catch on? They just never did. But I believe now. And so this 49ers team, for me, they're good enough to go to the Super Bowl. Now, before I just thought that they were a team that was going to be solid defensively. If they didn't make any mistakes and you did, they'd have a shot. It really doesn't matter what you do anymore. If they show up and they play their brand of football and they don't make mistakes, it's hard for me to see a lot of teams in the league beating San Francisco the way Colin Kaepernick is playing football. So that's when you know you're a good team, because it doesn't matter what you do defensively. It doesn't matter what you do offensively. If we take care of business, if you're a good team and you take care of business, you do what you need to do to make sure that you can get it done, Not many teams will be able to beat you. And there's not a lot of teams in this league that can say that. But the 49ers are rounding into that type of football team, and it's because of the emergence of Colin Kaepernick. And I thought that needed to be stated on this program today. So that's a touchdown. Go ahead and throw it up. Want to tackle on this quick extra point. Now, I said I was going to come back to Manning. I'm coming back to Manning right now. There's been a lot said about them taking a knee at the end of the game, 2 timeouts, about 30, 31 seconds left on the clock. We saw what Matt Ryan was able to do with 2 timeouts in 25 seconds. And so everyone's been over, and to me, very hypercritical of John Fox and Peyton Manning and them not taking a shot. I was fine with it. Yeah, it's Peyton Manning. Yeah, you feel like 2 timeouts, 30 seconds is ample enough time, especially at the end of a game when defenses tend to play soft, play to not lose instead of to win, and so you get a lot of prevent defense, and there are a lot of gaping holes in that zone coverage, and guys are able to run free for 15, 17, 20, 25 yards at a time, and so, yeah, they could have taken a shot. But just as we saw at the end of the game, when he threw that pick, anything can happen. We saw, and I think John Fox saw this, and I think this was in the back of his mind as he made that decision. A, they weren't moving the ball on the Ravens defense in the second half for the most part. They struggled offensively in that second half. B, we remember what Ben Roethlisberger did against the Cincinnati Bengals as he threw an interception late in that football game to lose them that game when they could have just went to overtime. We saw what Ben Roethlisberger did. And you can cost yourself a game that way by trying to be over-aggressive, making a mistake, and allowing the other team, not you, to win the game. And so I think those things were running through John Fox's mind as he made that decision. I don't think it was the worst move in the world. Yeah, they could have took some shots. I was more critical of the fact that they weren't more aggressive in trying to win the game down the stretch when they were in their 4-minute offense, trying to make the Ravens use their timeouts. I was more critical then. Why not be aggressive in that situation? A first down at that point is detrimental on so many levels to the Ravens. A, they're going to run out of timeouts. At some point, they're going to start running out of time as well. And even if you were only to get 1 first down after they use all their timeouts, they'll only get the football back with 20-something seconds left. At that point, they're dead in the water. But everything is 2020 in hindsight. And we could go back and nitpick at this and that. At the end of the day, the Broncos should have won the game because they should be able to stop a team from going 70 yards in less than a minute. Simple as that. They had a defensive breakdown. They allowed Joe Flacco to complete a 73-yard pass, so you deserve to lose. End of discussion. Peyton Manning has absolutely nothing to do with that. John Fox has absolutely nothing to do with that. That was the execution by the players on the field. They didn't get it done. Broncos lose the game. That's the end of that. And that's the end of this program as well today. I thank you for joining me in the lab room. As always, there's many ways to contact and view the show. There's Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. Like that page, if you will. There's Twitter. In the Lab Room. At In the Lab Room is the Twitter handle. Follow me on Twitter. Every video is on Facebook and Twitter as well. I post them all. So check me out on Facebook or Twitter. There's the In the Lab Room at gmail.com, which is the inbox. Feel free to contact me in the inbox. And there's also Louis T, the YouTube page, which is what I go through to post all of these videos. Subscribe to the page. You'll have every video at your fingertips, at your disposal. And so I thank you for joining me on the program. I want to see you back here same time, same place. And as always, have a good one. Come back here later when we'll be talking Buffalo Bills on the Lab follow-up program. They're the next team up, so we'll be talking Buffalo Bills here shortly. So tune in to the Lab follow-up as I continue to go through every team in the National Football League and address their season in the 2012 season and what they need to do moving forward to become a better franchise. See you then.